Hi folks, welcome back to my channel World of Flutter. So today we are going to take a look at the package Carousel Slider. If you want to see the implementation of this package using the examples they have given in the README and also in the examples tab, then please make sure to watch this video till the very end. So let's start. The license is MIT, and as per the huge number of likes and 100% popularity, we can say that this package is very good and efficient to use. And on the platform on which we can use this is Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, Web and Windows. So I'm going to show you the implementation on my Android device. And as they have highlighted in the README, the features are infinite scroll, custom child widgets and autoplay, and they have given a list of supported platforms as well. There's a live preview in Flutter Web which you can check out. So let's move to the installation. For installing, you can either run this command in your terminal or else you can copy this line of code and paste it in your YAML file under dependencies and run pubget. So here I already have a very basic UI with a material app, scaffold, an app bar that says Carousel Slider demo and an empty container. So I'll go in my YAML file, and in the YAML file under dependencies I'm going to paste this line of code and I'm going to do pubget. Once pubget is done, in the messages tab right here, you will see that it's been added to your project and the process is finished. So once that is done, you can go back to your installation tab and you can copy this line of code for import and paste it in whichever file you're going to use it. So I'm going to use it in main.dart, that's why I've pasted it here. Okay, so let's go back to README. How to use. So I'm just going to copy this line of code and I'll explain it as we go along. So instead of a container in the body, I'm going to return a carousel slider. So carousel slider is the main widget that we are using here, which has a required property called options, and it takes carousel options as the value. Carousel options in itself has so many properties, so many variables that we can use. We can assign any value to it and we can use it as per our convenience. So it has properties like height, aspect ratio, viewport fraction, initial page, autoplay, scroll physics, scroll direction, enlarge factor, okay, like this. So it has so many variables and properties that you can use. So right now they have used height only. Let's give it a hot reload and you'll be able to see what the basic example they have given. So they're using a builder and they're returning a container with a text as a child. Okay, and here they have used a list in the items. So I'm going to give the height of 200 to make it look a little better. And here we can also use different parameters. Okay, so in the next example you can see the parameters for optional options, carousel options. So I'm going to just copy this parameter, I'm going to paste it there. So these are not all the parameters that they have used, but a handful of it. I'm going to show you how we can also use it. Okay, so I'm going to cut the height and I'm going to paste those parameters instead. So I'll explain some of these parameters to you, which is very easy. Like for example, height you understood. Then if you use height, then aspect ratio is not needed. There's a viewport fraction. Right now, if you see, we have an enlarged center page to be true, which means your center page will be enlarged. And the factor by which it will be enlarged is 0.3. And if you put the correct factor in the viewport fraction, correct number, then you'll be able to see it like this. If you wanted to cover like this, there should be no spacing like this in the right and left, then you can give it as 1 and it will be like this. Right now it's auto playing because autoplay is true. Let's give it a false so that it will stop autoplaying. Now it will only play when you slide it. Okay. And the text they have used, we can give a styling to it. So I'm going to give it a style of 40 and I'm going to give it a color also, which is white, and I'm going to wrap this text with a center so it looks pretty neat. Okay. So this is the basic example that they have given. If you go further, then you can see that there's one more way to build your carousel slider. So here you already have a list and you're using the map function and you're using your builder. Okay, now instead of using like this, you can also create your carousel slider using dot builder. So what is the difference between that and this? The difference is that this method will save memory by building items once it becomes necessary. So this way they won't build if they are not currently meant to be visible on the screen. So this will save you a lot of memory. Let's just see this also. So let's put it in a column, and below my first slider I'm going to paste this, and this has a required property options that takes carousel options. And in the carousel options, I can give like viewport fraction as 0.8, let's say, and I want the enlarged center page to be true, and I want the enlarged factor to be 0.3, and I want the scroll direction this time to be vertical, not horizontal. Okay, and the container's color I'm going to give as orange, and the width, if I don't specify, then it will take the width of my child, which is text, so I don't want that, so I'll just give the width of the whole screen. Okay, so media query dot of context dot size dot width, and then it will look pretty neat. And my item count is 15, so instead of 15 I'm going to give 8, and I don't want my text to start from 0, so I'll just give index plus 1. Okay, and I'm going to give some styling to my text also, so I'll give text style color as white, and I'm going to give font size as 40, and I'm going to give font weight as bold, and I'm going to wrap it with center. Okay, yeah, so now it looks pretty decent if you look at it. Okay, you can also give height to your container if you want. I can give a height of 200, let's say, and you can change the height accordingly. Okay, now if you scroll, then it's vertically scrolling, so it's kind of giving you a 3D look if you see. And I want some gap between my children in the column, so I'll just give main axis alignment as space evenly, so this will be better looking. Okay, now so you can also make horizontal carousel, and you can make vertical carousel also, and you can just toggle the value of these properties, and you can make whatever you want to make on your screen. Okay, now let's move along. So we have a carousel controller. So what is the use of a carousel controller? A carousel controller will help you to call the functions like next page, previous page, jump to page, animate to page, like these. So these are the functions. Let's say you want a button on your carousel, and you don't want to slide it like this. You want a button to be there. When you click on the button, then it should go to the next page or the previous page. And let's say you have like your page numbers 1 2 3 4 like that, and you click on 4, then it should go to page 4. So for these functions we need a controller. Okay, so you can just copy this controller from here, and I'll show you the implementation. I have pasted it already here. Okay, and now in my carousel slider, I'm going to take this controller above options, and I'm going to paste. So I'm going to put this buttons on my first carousel. Okay, this one. So before options, I'm going to give the controller, and now I need to make buttons. So I will first put this inside a stack. Okay, because I want my button to be stacked on top of the slider. So stack takes children, and here I'm going to make a align. I'll give the alignment as center right, and I'm going to give the child as icon button. Okay, now icon button has two properties, icon and on pressed. So in icon, of course, icons dot arrow forward with a color of blue. The styling is up to you, that's your choice. And a size of 30. Okay, and in the on pressed, I'm going to take this line of code and I'm going to paste it. So this is for next page. Okay, yeah, and similarly I'm going to make one more button for the previous page. So instead of center right, it should be center left. Instead of next page, it should be previous page, and instead of arrow forward, it should be arrow back. And just to put your arrow in the correct place, I'm going to give alignment to my stack also as center. Now let's do a hot restart or hot reload, that's up to you. Now you can see two arrows. Let's see if this works. So yeah, if you click on the right one, it's going to the next page. If you click on the left one, it's going to the previous page. So this is how you can make buttons, and you can use controller to call these functions on your button. Okay, so this is the use of controllers, and below it you have different screenshots of all the implementation that they have done in the examples tab. So I'm going to implement one of this. I'm going to implement, let's say, this image carousel slider with custom indicator. Okay, so let's go to the examples tab. So this is a very detailed example. Just study it thoroughly, and if you can, then implement it. Okay, so then I'm going to implement an image slider with indicators. So for that I need a list first of all. So I'm going to give a list. Okay, and I'm going to put that below here only, below my children here. So I'll put it in my expanded so that my UI doesn't crash. And in the child, I'm going to go to that example. So my example is somewhere here. Yeah, carousel with indicator state. So this is my example, and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it. Okay, now it has some errors, like for example it needs a new controller. So I'll just, instead of using this one, I'll just make a new controller, and it needs an image list, this image sliders, which is a list of widgets. So this they have already made in one of the other example. Yeah, this is the list. So I'm just going to copy this, but I'm not going to paste it directly here. Instead, I'm going to make a function, get image sliders. Okay, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to declare this variable outside my function so that I can use it in the other parts of the program. And I'm going to declare it as late. Okay, this is done. And now I have one more variable that I need to use, which is current. So current basically will tell me the position of my image, like at what place it is. So I'm going to paste it here. Okay, now if I do a hot restart, so still it's crashing because I haven't called this method. So let's call it. Okay, and I'm going to use init state to call it. And in the init state, I'm going to call this get slider, image sliders, and I'm going to do a hot restart, and now it should work. Yeah, so you can see your image slider is coming with your indicator also, and the autoplay is true, and different properties is already set, so you can check those out. Okay, if you wanted to look a little more better, then put your stack also inside expanded, and put your other builder also inside expanded. Okay, so this will look a little better. So you can create your custom carousels as you want, and with indicator, without indicator, vertical, horizontal, like these arrows for buttons, like jumping to page, like this. Okay, so you can do all that, and they have given enough example for you to implement it. Okay, so this is the summary of the carousel slider package. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you want me to cover a particular topic in Flutter or a particular package in Flutter, then please do write in the comment section. I'll make the videos on those as well. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in my next video.